For most of human history, war did not sound like thunder. There were no explosions tearing through the air, no rifles cracking across distant battlefields, no machines firing thousands of rounds per minute. Instead, war had a very different sound: the clash of steel, the thud of shields, the roar of men charging toward one another. Before the invention of modern firearms, warfare was fought face to face, close enough to see your enemy, close enough to hear their breath, close enough to know that survival depended on strength, skill, and courage. In the earliest days of human conflict, the weapons of war were simple: a sharpened stick, a heavy stone, a wooden club. These were not designed for battle. They were tools of survival, turned into weapons when groups competed for land, food, or power. But as societies grew larger, warfare became more organized. Villages became towns, towns became kingdoms, and kings needed armies. Warriors began to train together, learning to fight not as individuals, but as a united force. Weapons improved as well. Bronze blades replaced stone tools. Iron weapons soon followed, stronger and more reliable than anything before them. Swords became symbols of power and survival on the battlefield. Lines of soldiers stood shoulder to shoulder, their spears pointed forward like a wall of steel. Anyone charging toward them faced a deadly barrier. Behind those spears were shields. Shields were more than protection. They were the foundation of ancient military tactics. But perhaps the most important weapon of ancient warfare was not the sword. It was the spear, long, simple, and devastatingly effective. When soldiers locked their shields together, they created a defensive wall that was incredibly difficult to break. The battlefield became a contest of discipline. Whichever army held its formation the longest usually survived, but not every attack came from directly ahead. High above the battlefield, another threat appeared: arrows. The bow allowed warriors to strike from a distance long before two armies collided. Hundreds of arrows could be launched into the air at once, falling like deadly rain onto enemy formations. A skilled archer could change the course of a battle before the enemy even reached the front line. But warfare was not fought only by soldiers on foot. The domestication of the horse brought a new level of speed and power to the battlefield. Cavalry units could move quickly across open land, striking where the enemy was weakest. A sudden cavalry charge could break an army's formation in seconds. The thunder of hooves approaching at full speed was often enough to send inexperienced soldiers into panic. Some cavalry carried long lances, using the speed of their horses to deliver devastating blows. Others rode as mounted archers, firing arrows while racing across the battlefield. Mobility gave these warriors an advantage that infantry could rarely match. Yet even the fastest cavalry could not conquer one thing easily: For thousands of years, cities protected themselves with thick defensive walls designed to keep armies out. When an attacking force encountered such defenses, battles did not end in hours, they turned into sieges. Siege warfare required patience and ingenuity. Armies surrounded cities, cutting off food and water supplies. They built massive wooden towers that rolled toward the walls, allowing soldiers to fight defenders at equal height. Ladders were raised against stone walls, and soldiers climbed upward while arrows and stones rained down from above. It was slow, dangerous, and exhausting. Heavy battering rams were used to smash gates. Each strike shook the entrance until the wood finally cracked apart. Some sieges lasted months, but warfare was not decided by strength alone. Strategy was just as important as weapons. Commanders studied the landscape carefully before battle. A hill could provide a defensive advantage, a river could slow an advancing army, forests could hide ambushes. Victory often belonged to the army that understood the battlefield best. Throughout history, countless wars were fought using these methods. Armies marched across continents, empires rose and fell through the strength of their soldiers. But no matter where these battles took place, no matter which civilization fought them, they all shared one thing in common. War was personal. Warriors fought within arm's reach of their enemies. They heard every shout, every clash of metal, every cry of victory or defeat. Combat demanded endurance, it demanded discipline, and above all, it demanded courage. Because when two armies finally collided, there were no machines to fight in their place. Only human hands held the weapons, and human will decided the outcome. For thousands of years, this was how war was fought, with swords, with spears, with bows, with horses, with strategy and sheer determination. War did not remain on land alone. It followed men onto the sea. Out on open water, battles became even more unstable, where the ground itself moved beneath every step. Ships closed the distance slowly, then suddenly, archers fired from the decks, their arrows cutting through wind and salt air. Hooks were thrown across the gap, pulling vessels together, and once they locked, there was no escape. Warriors crossed over onto enemy ships, fighting on narrow, shifting ground where a single misstep could mean falling into the sea. Fire spread quickly across wooden decks. Smoke rose into the sky as ships burned and broke apart, and those who survived drifted among the wreckage of what remained. Then, eventually, everything changed. The discovery of gunpowder transformed warfare forever. Weapons could now kill from far greater distances. Battles no longer required soldiers to stand face to face. The sound of war shifted from the clash of steel to the thunder of firearms. But before that moment, before modern weapons reshaped the battlefield, human wars were fought with nothing more than steel, courage, and the strength of those willing to stand and fight. And for centuries, that was enough to shape the fate of the world.